and caring for it. So the first item I want to talk about is diet and feeding. For the feed, you could use two types. I've used two types: wild birdseed or dove mix, actual mix made for doves, and that you can find at your local pet shop. In Japan here, I found some nice mix between. It's sort of a mixture between dove mix and wild birdseed, and has a picture of a pigeon on it, same family of bird. So I figured, oh, I'll try it. And I'll show you what it looks like. It's very nice, a nice variety. They seem to like it. A lot of seeds, corn, and different types of seeds. Nice flavoring, nice combination. But it's up to you to talk it over with your doves, if you will, and figure out which they like better. Experiment and try. Okay, that's about the feed. Now the important part is never keep the food in the cage the whole time. I feed my birds once in the morning, a tablespoon and a half per dove, and once in the evening, half a tablespoon per dove. It's a light little feeding in the evening. This will avoid a 24-hour buffet if you keep the food there all the time. And sort of like a cruise ship, you know what happens on cruise ships. So avoid keeping the food there all the time, and that'll keep them in shape. And it's a little tip. Next is refreshing treats, especially hot days like today in Japan. It's very warm. I like to use a little water bottle. It could be a plant sprayer. Make sure it's a new bottle, unused, without any cleaners in it ever before, because it can be dangerous. And just a little sprayer, and we'll come over here with Fluffy and spray him. And they enjoy this, like I said, especially on hot days. And that's one type of refreshing treat. The other type is getting a bowl of water, shallow bowl of water, placing it in the middle of the cage, maybe half an inch high, and then the birds will jump in and have a nice pool party and have a good time in there. So that's another refreshing treat, and they really enjoy that. Next item is tasty treats. For a tasty treat, I give my doves sometimes fruit-flavored birdseed, which are used for canaries or small type birds, but the doves enjoy it. Also, I can cut up an apple or a banana, a lettuce, place it on the bottom of the cage, and they can peck at it and get some extra flavor out of that, and it's very nutritious as well. So those are some types of tasty treats. The next item is a necessity. It's called grit or / gravel. And I found some here in Japan because I ran out of what I brought. It's a little different, but it's very similar. It comes in a small package. Usually in the States, it comes in a box. It's very white and chalky looking. I'll take this out. This has got a greenish tint to it. It's little flakes, tiny little flakes. And this is a necessity because it helps the birds grind the food. Because obviously the birds don't have teeth, so they need help in digesting and grinding the food, and this helps in that. Also, it's high in calcium, especially the shell grit that is made from oyster shells. It's very high in calcium, which helps them with their strong bones for all the work that they're doing on stage. So any extra help is great for them. So that's that. The vitamins now. Vitamins are also another thing that I give my doves, which you should too. And that comes in two forms. One form comes for the water, the drinking water, and the other form is for the feed. The drinking water, you could either get it in powder with a little measuring spoon and you just put it in the water, mix it up, or you can get it in an eyedropper. Take the eyedropper and drop a few drops in the drinking water every day and mix it up. That's very good. The eyedropper I prefer better because it's easier on the road. You don't have to get powder all over the place. Just a couple of drops and you're all set. So that's very important. Next is wheat germ oil. Wheat germ oil, I place a half teaspoon of wheat germ oil into the morning feeding, and I mix it up. It's a little shiny. The birds will eat it. They won't even know it's in there because it's tasteless, but it has high vitamin E content, and that helps them with their coat because it makes it very shiny, very white. That's a good point there. And next item is exercise. Exercise also is a necessity because a caged bird needs to get out at least 2 times a day, at least. The more the better. The best thing to do is set up an area which becomes a playground for them. I call it the Tony Clark's Fun Flying Playground. And all that is a curtain set up, 8 by 10 or 10 by 10 square, 10 feet, with a spotlight. And the curtain should be black. This gives them the stage atmosphere, so they get used to being in a dark atmosphere with only one spotlight. That's very important. And you take them out of the cage, place them on a perch, and you could have them fly around and give them an exercise. At least 15 to 30 minutes a day, twice a day, at minimum, to just extend their wings and relax and have a good time. A good point is to put cushions along the bottom of the cage, so, I'm sorry, of the curtain setup, so they don't get hurt, because they may hit the curtain at first and fall. So put cushions along the bottom. But just give them exercise every day, and that'll make them happy and healthy, and easier to work with. So these points are very important for all those items. So just try all that. And next we're going to bring up the exterior cage. I have a picture, a drawing, of an idea of one type of cage you can try, just a sample. And we're going to bring it up for you right about now. Okay, here is the drawing of the exterior cage. By the way, this drawing was done by my good friend Mitch Williams, so thanks Mitch for this drawing. The cage, as you can see, is sitting on 4 legs. These legs should be made out of 1-inch pipe and should be at least 4 feet off the ground, which keeps them safe from any small wild animals. Another safety feature is the downward slope and overhang, which you can see here, which will stop any animals from getting up and around. Then we have the pull-out tray. This makes life a lot easier when you have to clean the cage. Just pull it out, dump it out, and put it back in. And right above the pull-out tray, you can't see it in the drawing, but there should be a raised mesh floor right about here. The raised mesh floor will allow the droppings to fall through and the doves to stay clean and dry always. The back half of the cage, as you can see here, should be 3 sides of solid plywood. You could have a little window if you want. That is a good shelter from any bad weather. They can get back there and keep safe, or just privacy for them. The front part of the cage should be made from heavy mesh wire, not just regular screening, but a heavy mesh wire, which is safe for them from any wild animals. The top, as you can see, has a slope and another overhang. This overhang helps them stay out of the sun constantly, gives them shade. Even though they need sunlight and it's good for them, direct sunlight for the birds can be very dangerous. So remember not to keep them exposed to direct sunlight for long periods of time. Now the interior cage, it could be almost identical without all the safety features, as you can see here. Just make sure they have fresh air, sunlight, and shade, and they'll enjoy it, and they'll be happy. Okay, let's say you live in Connecticut and you have to fly to Los Angeles for a gig with your birds. What do? Well, the first thing you have to do is tell your airline that you're carrying a livestock with you, or birds. They'll let you know the extra charge, which there is, and if you can take them on board with you or not. If the cage is small enough, sometimes they'll allow you to put them underneath the seat on board or in cargo, depending on the airline, so check with them. You also need a general health paper, interstate health paper, which you can get from a vet. Take your birds in, they'll check them and give you a health form. It's a good idea to use a vet that is a specialist or works with birds. A lot of vets don't even work with birds, so check around and find a vet that would work with birds and give you health forms for those birds. Next item is international flights. This is very tricky. Be sure to contact your state's Department of Agriculture. Let them know what country you're going into, and you'll be carrying birds for show, not for breeding or anything. Let them know it's just for show. They won't be out with other animals or anything. That's very important. And they will let you know what forms you need and send them to you. Then you take those forms to your vet, and they'll give you a health paper to go with that. Any tests or anything for the birds, they'll do. That's very tricky. Each country has its own laws, rules, regulations, so it will be impossible for me to list them all. Some countries you can't even get into at all. So in those cases, you might want to ask your booker or your agent to have some birds there waiting for you in that country. I know it's not the same thing when you do that, but it's better that way than risking to lose your birds in flight, getting there or back or whatever. So call the Department of Agriculture and see what the requirements are. Now, for traveling with the birds, what do you put the birds in? I have a sample of a carrier you could use, and I'll get it right now. It's right here. It's a plastic dog carrier or kennel. It's very lightweight, plastic. And as you can see, I taped off most of the air vents because I don't want a draft going through there because drafts are not good for doves because they're very gentle and they can catch a cold from that. So I'll show you the inside now. I'll take the top off and the front door. And here is the inside. It's very simple, but it works well. The bottom I lined with paper towels and newspaper. This is good so it absorbs any droppings or water that may spill onto it. Keeps the birds dry. And there's a raised mesh floor or graded floor, which keeps their feet dry so they don't sit in their droppings. Then there's wood dowels, perches, front and back. And here we have a feeder. This feeder is made from a plastic water bottle, which you could find at a beauty supply house. I cut a slot in the top, and you put water inside. Now for the water, I use a sponge or paper towels inside, about half the height of the capacity, which is good. It holds the water, and even if some splashes out, it will always have water in it, so the birds can peck at it and draw the water out of it, which is safe, because in flight they need a lot of water. And for the feeding, for the feed, I put a little bit of peanut butter. Billy McComb from Hollywood, California, a good friend of mine, said if you add a little bit of peanut butter with the feed, it becomes very tacky, and it causes it to stick together and stay in the feeder, which is great for traveling. So the birds will always have it in there. Nice little tips. And that's about it for the carrier. Just make sure that you notify all the people you have to notify, and get all the papers, health papers, and get your dog carrier, which could be found in your local pet shop. And that's basics for traveling. You ready? He's ready. Star's ready, so am I, to start the dove training technique segment. And it's a 6-week program. By the end of the 6 weeks, the dove should be able to return and come back when you throw it out. Return flight program. This should be done in the setup of curtains we talked about earlier for the exercise. 10-foot or 8-foot by 8-foot square curtain setup with a spotlight, so it gives it the stage atmosphere. Okay, the first week you perch the bird here, and you put your other hand about a foot apart, 1 foot apart, 12 inches. And you simply toss it over. And do it again. Do this 15 to 30 minutes twice a day, at least. And be sure to give it a rest. If the bird flies away, remember it's just learning, and just pick it up, put it in your hand, pet it, make it feel comfortable, and you ready again? Okay. He says, oh, he's ready. Week number 2. Week number 2, it's 2 feet apart, 24 inches. Same thing. Just toss it over. Very gently, very gently. Toss it over. And it learns how to fly across from hand to hand. That's the second week. Do the same time, 15 to 30 minutes twice a day. Third week, it's the same 2-foot distance, but you add a little outward throw, which makes it a little arch this way. So you throw it out this way, and it turns, goes back, and try one more time. And it comes back just a little bit, just so it learns how to return slightly. Do that for a full week again. Remember not to rush this process. If you find the bird is not learning each step, keep doing it until the step is correct. So it may take you 2 weeks instead of 1 week. But normally it works in a week, so it's up to you. Depends on the bird. Okay, 4th week. Now instead of just throwing it from hand to hand, this time you throw it towards the spotlight. Now this is not the correct lighting here on the stage, but I'd say the spotlight was here, and I was in the black setup with 8 by 10 curtains around it, black curtains. And I'm going to just toss it very gently, 2 to 3 feet, and it makes a slight turn and comes back. You do that for a week, okay? Very good. And remember, give it a rest between each flight, because it doesn't work hard. And maybe spray it with some water. Come down, there you go, cool down, good. And now the 5th week. 5th week, you throw it the same way, but a little further out. 5 to 6 feet, 4 to 6 feet. But very gently, though. Very gently toss it out, and it returns just like that. Very good. That's the 5th week. The 6th week, repeat it again. If the bird consistently comes back for 2 weeks in a row, it's pretty much trained. It's pretty well trained. So you could apply it to other effects, like the sleeve toss, which I'll show you later. And it's not a very long time to acquire a very well-trained bird. And it will be respected by lay audience and magicians as well. Very good. That's great. As you can see, I changed into my full dress suit, or tails, some people call them. There's two ways you can go with this. You could either buy one off the rack in the store, or you could have one custom made with all the extra large sleeves and extra large chest area, which you need for the doves. If you buy one off the rack, it costs cheaper, of course, than the other one. It's very expensive, custom made. But if you get one off the rack, you have to get one a little bit oversized and have them trim it down. Have the pockets put in, load the birds, and have them custom tailor it in. And also, if you buy one off the rack, the sleeves may not be large enough for dove load. So you may want to add some material. I made a pattern of a piece that you would add in, a V-shaped piece of material like this. And you would sew it to the inside seam, right there. And the size of this depends upon the size of the sleeve that you start with and the size of the bird you're using. So take that into consideration. Just add a piece in that shape. Gives it a bell opening. The dove load to come out. Okay. Pockets. Now, to make dove pockets, you can either make them like a sling pocket, which some people do, just two pieces of fabric sewn flat together and attached to the jacket. Or I developed one, it's a squarish tube. I made it into a paper tube sample so you can see it better, because black on black is very difficult to see. So what it is, a 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 inch tube of material made out of heavy black satin with the shiny side on the inside. Very important note, shiny side on the inside, so the birds slide in and out very smoothly. So say this is the inside of the jacket here. If it opened up this way, this would be fastened there on these two edges. So when the bird is inside, it keeps its shape, and when the bird is removed, it flattens out. On my jacket, I have two of these stacked on top of each other inside my jacket here. Remember never to put the pocket in too drastically. Don't do that. It's too much of a move, too unnatural move to get the bird out of the pocket. Just keep it slightly back so the bird doesn't come out prematurely. Okay. And as far as the positioning, as far as front and back, the best place to position it is along the break. The end of the pocket, which is here, should end at the break of the jacket so that the jacket can close over the pocket. It's right about here, over this way. Okay, so those are a few tips on jackets and sleeves. Let's talk about some dove workers' accessories. There's many out there, many good ones. People always ask me which is the best dove harness to use. Well, I'm sure every dove worker uses their own, and the audience doesn't know what type they're using. The only thing they care about is the production of a dove. That's all we should worry about, is the final result, the production of a live white dove. And the method to get to that is our choice as an artist. But I'll show you a few different items here. The first item is dove harness, which is used for invisible barehanded productions. Invisible dove harness, they call it. And mine is made from a wide strapping. There's some made from a thinner strapping, but I prefer a wider strapping. It's safer for the birds. I developed this for safety for my birds. It attaches on the back. The tail comes out here, the head comes out here, and the ring, the eyelet, which is removable, by the way, which is a nice touch to this harness. So it can stay on the bird for a long period of time. Once it gets used to it, it's comfortable, it doesn't bother it anymore, it feels natural. So you could just clip it on right before the show, you're ready to go. I've had mine on my birds here now in Japan. I've been here for over 3 months, and they've been on since day one, and there's no problem, very safe. Okay, that's invisible dove harness. Be very careful on selecting this, because some can be dangerous, so make sure that it's safe. This is mine, it's called the Love Your Dove Harness. And next we have a few other items. A self-opening harness, one-hand release or self-opening release. What it is a arts and crafts shop sells these. They're little hinges, plastic hinges. What happens is the hinge closes and a pin goes through it, attached inside your jacket. So when the dove harness comes out into your hand, the dove holder comes out into your hand, the pin is removed and now the dove is free to come out. That's one way. The loop is made out of wire. Could be made out of catgut, whichever you prefer. Then we have another dove holder, and that is with a Velcro. And I made this with a plastic piece on the tab that comes up, so you could hit it with one hand. And your thumb, and it pops open, comes out. And then there's another one that I made, it's very similar, but it doesn't have the plastic piece. And it has just a longer line for different moves, depending on the steel and the moves you use. That would tell you how long the line will have to be. And the loop here is made out of catgut. And one important item when you're using an invisible harness or dove sleeve load is to protect the feathers from going against the grain. And what I use is a piece of cardboard with a shiny coat on it, like a postcard of me, matter of fact, or a piece of cellophane, heavy cellophane. This is used to put around the bird, cause like a cone. And if you're doing a dove sleeve load here, you put the dove inside, push the bird in, and pull the paper out. So this way the bird's not going against the grain. It doesn't damage the bird's feathers. Same thing for inside pocket load, which I'll show you later. But these are some things that can help you out and in your dove working. So I hope you enjoy those. Great job, guys. Great job. Hey, I'm here with the three birds you just saw in that routine. I'm just giving them a little refreshing treat for doing a nice job. They love that. And now, what we're going to do is talk through each of the effects you just saw. Only 3 productions, but they're the basic production. The sleeve production, the basic dove steel, and the invisible harness production. Then I'm going to show you some variations of each one and different effects you can do with them. And also including some of the little tricks like the cigarette inside, production and the self-lighting cigarette. So let's start from the top. We'll start right from the top. The first effect you saw me do was the production of a cigarette, which is easy, but take it step by step. All that is a thumb palm. And you hold it here, and you produce it. The other part is the lighting of the cigarette. This is a little cool idea I came up with for 1988 competition of the SAM that I competed in. You take a wooden match, you break it off to about half the size. Okay? You take the wooden match and you drive it into the top of the cigarette, into the tobacco end of the cigarette if you're using a filter gun, and then make it stick out just a little bit. You see that? Okay? Now the other part, which is very important, is to get a piece of striking paper from a matchbook or matchbox. And as you can see on my thumbnail, I cut a little piece off and use some magician's wax to attach it to the thumbnail. And there it is. It doesn't look too pretty, but usually it's not in view from the stage. You don't really see it moving around. So that's the first step. So I turn around, or you can walk on stage. You can steal it if you want. You look. You produce the cigarette. Put it in your mouth. It's not lit. It's like you're packing the cigarette. Very natural for smokers. And the last time, if you get a close-up of this, as you come here, tap, 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 come here and strike it on the paper. Let it burn for a second so it lights the cigarette, then blow it out. And now it's lit. It'll stay lit. And that's the first effect. Then I went into the dove toss. Dove toss. So I put this away. Just leave that there for now. Now the dove toss, to start with, you need the paper. And we're going to come over here and take the bird. Remember the cellophane or hard cardboard with a shiny coat. And put them inside the sleeve. Gently. He's done this quite a few times today. So, there. Take a peek of that. He's in there. Okay. Now, for the flash paper, all I did was have a piece of flash paper in my lapel with the rose, which is I'll show you later, and show this cigarette. Show this. Now, the important part of this is to make sure the flash paper is gone before you come out with the bird, because the head of the bird is going to be right there where the flame is if you don't. So, take the flash paper, light it, it's gone, and give it a second. Give it a second of a pause. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it just goes and then the dove comes out and splits it, because the retention of light will stay there and look like it came out instantly. But don't make the paper burn and then throw the bird. Make it burn out first, then throw the bird out. Okay. I'm going to get rid of the cigarette. As most of you probably don't smoke, I don't smoke either. The alternative way for that would be to use a match gimmick. And I'll show you what I use for different effects. It's my own device. It's the Omni Insulite from Nielsen and I. And what it is a clip that comes apart with the flip paper inside. This clip goes over it, and you snap the match inside, like that. And pop it open, snap it shut. Great. Now, do the same thing with the flash paper this time. Could be here, or it could start off in your hand. If you're not using a cigarette, you can start off in your hand. So you can start off as an opening effect, come out, produce a match, like the flash paper, and then produce the dove. Okay? And I'll show you another variation. This is a fun one. It takes a little more work. You need an vanishing candle. Let me load up a lighter fluid. Okay. And put the top on it, the bottom actually, cap. Okay. And then you can use an 18-inch or 24. I like 18 for this particular routine. Just take it and wrap it around your finger. Like this. Tenkai palm with the vanishing candle, like that. Okay, it's pretty easy from the front view. Now, just underneath, just put the silk, and just grab that with the two fingers. Got it? Okay. So you could open up as an opening effect. You do that, release the silk. All you do is just open the bottom fingers and it falls out. I'll show you one more time to get a better view from the back side. So you have the Tenkai palm, you have this silk. So this is the back view, this is the audience out there. Just let go and it pops out. So from the front. Little effect, it's not really a big deal, but looks nice, a nice flourish. Give it a few little flicks away, come up with a candle. And the last one is come up, Here's the candle. Come here, take the match, you have to go for the second match, here, light the candle. Now you can show the candle, blow it out, and produce the dove. I'm sure you want to see that. If I was in a live audience right now, someone would say, please show me that trick. So we're going to try doing that right now. First thing you want to do is make sure your lighter fluid is in your candle. Get your dove. Oh, load the matches, which is very important. It's easy to forget. I always keep 2 on each side. That's 1. That's 2. The best part about these that I like is the match snaps into place. So really, you know it's in there when it's in there. And it has flip paper on both sides, so I like that. Okay, now. And also, it has a nice V shape, so when you're looking for it underneath your lapel, you start at the top, you run your fingers down, and it goes right down. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's mine. Okay, for the first trick, the dove. Okay. And I will also explain the actual move again. Try to keep this as a live format, just running through a lot of effects. Okay, roll the dove in very gently again. Keyword gently. Even if it takes a little longer, like the last one I just did was a little bit longer because he didn't want to go in. So don't force him to go in, you know. Take your time and just let him feel comfortable, because if he's mad or aggravated, he's not going to do a good job. Okay. Position him. Push him back a little bit. There. Let's fix it up. I never rush this part. Always take your time. This is done backstage, so it doesn't matter how long you take. Just take your time. And there he is. He's okay. Now, let's go back to the other silk. Roll it up. The cool part about this, even if they see it coming out of your hand, which they do, they think now that there's nothing in your hand. So sort of shows them that the hand is now empty, sort of. Because there. Okay, let's try it. Come forward. Here's the silk, pops out. Put a few flicks, you still have it palmed. Come up. Here's the candle. There's the candle. Response, response, hopefully response. Come here, throw it across your shoulder, go for the match. All these are beautiful effects because everything is beautifully done. Very clean. You show that. Show the candle. Blow the candle out. And use the dove. Now if you notice, as soon as the dove was going out, I came down with the hand to take the silk out, which covers my candle. So it's very clean. Show the bird. Thank you very much. Put the bird away. Dump this off. I want to do this one more time just to show you the basic move of the production for the sleeve, because people are fascinated with this effect. And if you don't do it right, the bird can get hurt. So I'm going to do it one more time. That's okay with you? Yeah, it's okay. He's on union, so okay, very careful. Make sure he's okay. Load it up again. Okay. Mix it out. It's doing okay for all the times we've done this. It's doing okay. Okay, now I'm going to do it with nothing at all. Just to show you, I can't really do a slow motion because you need the momentum, but I'll talk through it, okay? The hands are always level, horizontal to the audience. Don't drop them because the bird will come out. Don't do this too much because the bird will start trying to get out too. So keep it level. And no quick gestures this way or this way because that's not too good. So very slow and flowing motion. You light something or you throw something in your hand, a piece of paper, the candle, whatever you have. It's here. Then the hand drops. I can't do slow motion, but I'm going to come down, and you need a little force to get out of the pocket. Watch. And then forward, straight out. Watch. Here we go. And then goes back. Very good. He's tired. He says, I'm staying there now. Okay. So that's all it really is. Be very careful. Do it in the setup that we talked about before with the curtains and the spotlight right there. And just toss it towards the spotlight. Depending on where your audience is. You don't want to throw it too high up because sometimes it goes up. It's hard for it to come down. Throw it pretty much straight out. And it'll come right back. So that's the first 2 effects, actually. Okay, the next effect was the rows and the other silk and the tying of the silks and the production. So let's set that up. First thing you need to do is get your 24-inch silk and roll it up to put it in your rose holder. There's a lot of different types out. I use one that I made, but Norm Nielsen makes a very nice one. It's called the spider gimmick. It's the little wires that come out. If you can see that up close to hold the silk in position. So there's a lot of good ones out there. Roll this around your finger or on a pencil. I usually do it around my finger, like that. Okay, and now you leave a little tail. Okay, and cross it across the back. This is just extra. This is not really the Dove lecture part, but I figured it'd be nice to know. People always ask me if I was in a live situation. People would ask me this question, so that's why I'm throwing these little items in. And some of you may like it and be useful for you. So you take the end, you stick it in the back. That sort of holds it in one piece. And just put it in with the top, if you can see, I don't know if you can see that, the top part that came over on top there. So you can see it. Put it in. There it is. You're set. Now the other white silk is a nice little subtlety. It's better than just pulling a silk out of your pocket. If you come down to my knee level, you see all it is a pocket back there. Nothing fancy at all. On the pant leg. Some people like to have it in the seam here along the strip, but I have it just in the back pant leg. And it's an 18-inch white silk stuffed inside with the corner sticking out. Just enough so you could grab it. Okay, that's all that is. So now you're up here. Gesture, pause, come here, pull the rose out, clip it with your fingers, give it a little smell, the natural thing to do with the flower. Look, turn this way, 3/4 to the left. Now if you get a wide shot, you can see what my other hand does. Here we go. And now with the misdirection of this, you should always have a misdirection larger than what you're doing here. This motion is just the hand drops, and as this opens, this hand just clips, unclipped. Now as I do this, and I've come over, and you have two. It's just a little subtlety, a little flourish. And then I just show them. 1, 2. And the knot is a slip knot or a slidini knot. I'm not going to try to explain that. That's a whole tape in itself, but I just show you slowly. Okay. Why I use this, because it gives you a good timing to steal the loop, which I'll show you right now. So you do the knot. Okay. Now you come across. Now you release the knot. The knot is already released. You come up, forward first. But I'll do it from the side. Then you go in for the loop. And for the loop. So let's load the bird up now. Sort of going in and out backwards, but I think it's easier to follow this way than to try to do the whole routine and go back again. So I'll load the bird up now. Little Fluffy. That's why I call him Fluffy. He fluffs up when he sits there. Okay. And very gently, when you load it into the harness as well. Might as well take advantage of this moment. Let's show you that as well. Very carefully. This is a harness that I designed. Like I said before, it doesn't matter which kind you use as long as you know how to use it. And make sure all the feathers are in. Have a little Velcro tab on top. Okay? He's in. And then I place him inside my bottom of my 2 pockets here. Very gently. Everything should be gentle because they shouldn't have to feel like they're being crushed into something. So they're very comfortable. Okay. Now a little piece of tape. For this one I like using tape because I need it to the edge of the lapel. So there's a little piece of Scotch tape which I stripped down. You see, very thin. And then we have the loop. If you notice the loop, I have sort of a natural arch with the catgut. Goes this way. That is always good to keep towards the front of the jacket. So it comes out of the jacket just slightly. There. There. It's a very thin piece of tape, but it holds real well against the lapel. The satin, it sticks really good. There it is. And clip your jacket closed or let it hang closed. So it's right there. And with the shirt, if you use ruffles, white ruffles are used a lot because it hides the loops and stuff. Mine has just a swirl in it, or you can have a shiny shirt, whatever. Okay? So now we get to the point of the actual steel. So we're back again to this position. And one of the reasons why I didn't put the bird in from the beginning is I don't want to keep my birds in the harnesses longer than they have to be. So when I'm explaining this other effect, I don't want to load them. So even for a show, don't load it too far in advance. I like to load my birds maximum 10 minutes before I actually walk on stage. So learn how to time yourself and how long it takes you to load all the birds before you get on stage and load them. It's not good to keep them in there too long, okay? So a little extra note. So now we're here in this position like before, or whatever effect. But this is nice because you come here, it's a natural position. And your hand is natural, you come forward just slightly, and I already had the loop already, see? It's here, just very natural. Your body goes into it as you're blowing the silk. Now, it's an applause cue, give it a snap. Now the trick is over. It's sort of an offbeat. It's sort of just, you're coming and it's sort of over. It's an offbeat. And the dub is already there. We'll do it again. Do the steel one more time. Try to use a natural motion that you're going to use to steal the dub. Don't add extra moves to steal a bird. Just try to work it into the moves you're already going to do. And load it in again. A piece of tape. Tape is so thin that when it comes off, either, like I said earlier, either it stays in the jacket or it comes out with it. Doesn't matter because it's so small. So take that. Tape it on. There it is. And here we're back to this position again. There we go. You're here. You're already clipped. It's very natural. Just focus. The attention is here, okay? Watch where you want the audience to watch. It drops. Snap. It's offbeat. It's an applause cue. Now when you come here, all you do, I'll do it from this angle. Come here. And it's just like you're cleaning up. Pull straight forward. And just continue the motion. And that's it. And you can drop your hands. That really fools them too, because they think, oh, there's nothing in there. Then as you come up, I never like to straight out open it this way. Either with the back of the hand or the thumb, but as a continuous motion, not just stop, produce. So when I come up, I like to come forward and use the back of the hand and then continue moving the production. And there it is. So you can play the tape back a few times to see it again. But the most important thing to do is to make everything natural. Don't go for the loop as a special movement. I'm going to put this back right here. When you go for the loop, don't start here and end up going across. If you could stay there, it's very natural for the hands to stay towards the center of the body. You know, don't have the silk here and then go here for it. It's an extra move. Just keep it there and continue. It's very important to keep it natural. Don't add extra movements. That's that one. Now, next effect was a very interesting effect. I used to do it with a snowstorm, but to eliminate the fan and to demonstrate a nice production of barehandedly producing a dove. This is the effect. All you do is take paper, tissue paper is best. It's like a tissue napkin here in Japan. The napkins are like tissue. Very interesting. Put it here. Oh, this is an interesting subtlety. This is another little thing I'll tell you. In the pocket, you don't want to fish around in there when you're in the show. You don't want to lose stuff because the pocket's pretty big. Either have the pocket made smaller, or just take the pocket and curl it under itself so it becomes about half the size. So I curl it underneath. So now it's only about this high, this long. The paper goes inside, and it can't go beyond that point. So your fingers, all you have to do is go in maybe an inch or two to reach what you're grabbing. This is for anything, cigarette, coins, whatever. That's a good idea because it's not really nice to go into your pocket and fish for stuff. It doesn't look good. So you just keeps a nice position. That's a little subtle thing there. Okay, now we're going to load the bird and show you the barehanded production with the dove harness, with the invisible harness. Then we'll talk about the invisible harness as well. Okay, here he is. Take a close-up. It's hard to see the harness. That's the beauty of it. It's kind of difficult to see. And there's the loop. Okay, so I like to perch him on something before I load him. Take the cone again, and gently. Sometimes you may have to try loading the bird twice because it gets very frustrated. Just put him back down and then try it again. Let him relax. Don't force him to go into the pocket. Okay. This goes in the bottom pocket, but go anywhere you want, depending on your moves. Okay. Oh, oh. Okay. So he goes in, slips in nice with the paper. Boop. Paper comes out. And there he is. Now this loop is a very interesting position. It's right in the center. So I don't have to go to either side to steal this loop. This loop goes right in the center. I have a piece of Velcro. You can use tape like I showed on the other one. I just sandwich the Velcro inside. 2 pieces of Velcro. And if you can see the loop or not, if you can get close enough to see it, I made it a little darker for this than normal. And what's interesting about catgut is if you heat it the right way, you can cause it to bend, and it keeps its shape. This one has a slight arc, which comes forward over the edge of my vest. Okay? That's that. Now, we'll start the effect. Show your hands empty. Come here. Open the napkin up, or tissue paper. Show it. Now this effect is just to show you the move. You can do any effect, and I'll show you some variations of the invisible production. Okay? So you have a few pieces. If they fall, it's okay. Now, the steal of this, you could just camouflage it. It's a resting position. Rest. So it's done. It's a resting position. You can come over here and wipe your head, which gives you a natural bending motion. This hand goes in. So you need a larger motion to cover the little moves. And a little trick that Slidini taught me when I studied with him was that people don't watch things that are dead. They watch things that are alive. Meaning, if your hands are moving, they're alive. If they're not moving, they're dead. So alive and dead. So you rip it up, they're alive and dead. This one's dead. So this does the dirty work when it's dead, quote unquote. So rip, 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 alive, dead. But you never come out this far. You just keep it within here. Rip, 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 alive, and dead. Now you come here on the offbeat, and you already got the loop. You're here already. The hand just falls on it. Just falls on it there. Now you come and wipe your forehead. Come up forward. You release the loop from the holder. You're here. Come here. You can rip it again once you're connected. And you can start tossing a few pieces up. And now you can see it from the side. This comes up as a throwing motion. Just sort of comes up. Here's the line. It's going to take the bird and pull it out with it. And this also you can't do too slow. But here's the move, move, move. Here it is. Take the throwing motion, and it flutters and it becomes a bird. And that's one move. I'll show you another idea. You could do a can. You could use a wand, many different items, a fan. I could do a snowstorm the same way and produce it on the fan. I would snap the fan shut here, and like before, fan, fan, fan. Snap the fan shut here. Boom. And as the hand comes across the loop, the natural motions. See, don't ever just grab and go for the loop. So it's fan, fan, fan. It's over. Snap the fan shut. There it is. They come up and they produce the bird. So the hand, the body motion should take your hand to where it's needed. I'll load it up one more time. And then I'll show you the actual harness, the way it looks on the bird. I'll try anyway. It's very difficult to see, but I'll try it. Okay. Now you want to go in there. Try it again. It's not easy for the birds to be under these studio lights as well. Maybe use a little squirt, a little spray here. That better? Yeah, it cools them down a little bit. I always stress in my lectures, my live lectures, gentle and caring for the birds, because they really know if you care about them or not. And the audience will be able to tell too. There you go. Okay, it's the last time I'm going to do it. And when you're rehearsing, it's a good idea to not rehearse these type of moves too many times in a row. Give them a longer break than normal. If you want to rehearse your other part of your act, your manipulation or your silks and your winding of silk, rehearse that, but try not to do the actual in and out of the pocket rehearsal too many times. The birds don't like that too much. Okay, so you load it up. The loop is in position. And it could be here too if you want, but I like it in the middle because it's more natural. The hand falls to naturally to the center of the body. Okay, so you have a giant wand here, visible, clear wand. So you can do many different things. You could have something vanish, come across, again the rest, spin here, a little misdirection, and come forward. Many different things, but that's basically the move. And be careful. Make sure you don't have to pull the bird that hard. If the pocket's made correctly with the right satin, you don't have to tug on the bird. You know, practice to make it a very smooth, fluid motion. The bird won't freak out because if you pull it out too far, it could overthrow your hand or override whatever you're putting it on. So try not to overthrow it like I just did. They don't like to be jerked. Okay, just very smoothly pulled. Okay, now let's take a close-up of the harness. We'll do the back side. I put some color on it so you can see it, a little bit of color. The Velcro is on the back. The straps come across the chest, and then there's the eyelet here. Show me. Okay, show me. And here's the eyelet, and the loop comes off there, and it goes back on. So that's the visible harness, and I'll show you that again here. And there it is off the bird. That's what it looks like. And it has that wide spread ribbon, so it doesn't cut through the bird as we talked about earlier in the accessories section. Okay, and that's that effect. What else can I say? Okay, there's also another item which people don't use that often anymore, and that's the rubber dove. This is very interesting. Norm Nielsen makes this beautiful, one of the best ones I've ever seen, the living latex dove. I'm going to give you the situation that you'll be in. For instance, these birds will be in a cage, a vanishing cage, or a cage that you would cover. Okay, the silk could be inside your pocket here. Like that, for instance. This could be rolled up in the back side of your cage. Now, this is a very nice little subtlety. Have it rolled up this way to the center. So you cover your cage. Okay, the cage is here. You cover the cage. You walk away from the cage, and you could say, oh, just a minute, reach in, come out with the rubber dove, because now they've seen you produce all those birds, and they've seen them sitting on there. So you immediately come out with one of the birds. They don't think anything of it. They see the entire bird. Now you come here, cover the bird, show the bird. You can do this, and that's one subtlety. Then go into vanishing the rest of the cage. That's one idea with the rubber dove. There's so many things. People don't use these. A lot of ideas they use them for just comedy, which is good, comedy. You know, they produce a dove, and they roll it up in front of the people and they laugh. That's a good idea, but there's so many other things you can do with this. It's a very strong tool. Another thing for a comedy bit, to make it even stronger, is to do a dove toss with it as an opening effect. So you could start off with it rolled in your hand. Have the silk, sort of like the candle vanish. But you show the silk, you come over here, the dove pop open in your hand, show the dove, get an applause, and you can show it's fake. Okay? Now, you just take this, okay, you toss it once. The second time you come, and you toss it from your sleeve. The rubber dove becomes a real dove, right in thin air. It's very strong effect. I've tried it before for fun, and it works really well. And the same moves as before, and also as the candle, this comes down and it keeps you clean. And you just dump that off. Okay. So that's basic moves with doves, invisible harness, regular harness. Actually, let me correct myself. Better known as a dove holder, not a harness. I've been calling it a harness. Actual dove holder, technically. Dove holder. Harness is actual harness. And dove sleeve toss. All those effects, so you can adapt to your own effects. And I hope they help you. I've enjoyed them. Hope you enjoy them too. And thank you very much. Well, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm here with my friend Yuki-san, Kazumi-san, and Esko-san. And before I go, I just want to thank everybody here at Hotel Numatoya for being so nice, and also my good friend Doug Malloy for spending so much time behind the camera. Speaking of time, It's time to head back to the USA. Are you ready, girls? Sayonara!